No, no, it didn't. You know, from the very beginning, you know, when I got involved in the case, just in my conversation with you know, Kareem and looking at the evidence, you know, I just really felt, and then also just looking at how the case proceeded over the number of years that it did, I just really felt that there wasn't enough evidence to show that he had any participation in the crime, even after the DNA report came out. It depends. Oftentimes, when my conversation with jurors, you're dealing with two different type of feelings. One is very serious case, obviously, and you got a family who's lost a loved one. So the jury, or just a human feeling, is that they want to hold someone responsible, and that's one feeling that you have to contend with as a defense attorney. But also, on the flip side, as a former prosecutor, you have to contend with this. Although we don't supposed to talk about sentencing, anyone that's somewhat familiar with the criminal justice system knows that any murder case carries a heavy and long penalty.
Likely life in prison.
Likely life in prison. So on the flip side, jurors are looking, I want to make sure that if I find this person guilty, that we have the right person. Someone that's going to be fair. That's, people, try to say, well, it boils down to race, it boils down to live on the north side or the south side. When you talk to jurors, it really doesn't, because you could have someone on the south end of town who's a minority, and you could have a minority defendant. So someone may say, well, okay, well, the minority juror are going to swing their way. That's not always the case. I mean, imagine if you lived in a certain area as a minority where you hear shots fired all times of night. You've got little kids in your house. You've got bullets going through the window. You've got drugs being sold right outside your door. And imagine that type of environment. That type of person may actually be pro-prosecution because of the environment that they live in. And then you have also, when you think about with Fort Benning being here, retired military, where you would imagine someone retired military, very conservative, very pro-prosecution. But also, when you think about a retired person in the military, it's very black and white. They're used to rules and order. So when it comes down for a prosecutor proving all the elements of the case, they may actually hold the state to a higher standard because they're going to look at every single element has to be proven. So then that could be a pro-defense juror.
According to a witness in a recent case, at least one officer in town refers to you as Black Jesus.
That was I really like that referral, but yes, that was it kind of the air left the room a little bit when that comment was made by the witness.
But the implication is that you saved your clients.
Yes.
And
yes.
So you don't have a problem with the implication with what they're saying.
Yes. The reference I have a problem with, but I don't have a problem with the fact that the recognition that I do work hard for my clients. I really, from the murder case all the way down to bad check. I try. I advocate hard for my client. Give 110%. But one thing that when I was a prosecutor, I had the opportunity to supervise different attorneys, but also train new attorneys through the Prosecuting Attorneys Council. And one thing that the senior prosecutors taught us to teach the younger prosecutors is that to try to see defendants not necessarily as not human, but not look at the positive human characteristics of defendants. Because if you ever notice, if you watch a trial, prosecutors never refer to a defendant by their name. They always say suspect, defendant, the accused.
It's almost personal.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they try to take away the personal aspect of it.
But it's a personal dislike sometimes that you get from
try to, basically to dehumanize the defendant. Now, but when you see the defense attorney refer Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, refer to them as they are a son, they're a father, to try to then bring that humanity back, so the jury can see the positive aspects of that person, where the prosecution just want to see the negative aspects of it. Yes, and it's all about preparation. That's really the key. If I had to take anything from sports, it's all about preparation. The team, now obviously some facts you can't control, but when it comes to a situation where the players, prosecuting and defense, the attorneys can really make a difference and sway the case, it's all about preparation. You've got to read those police reports. You've got to interview the witnesses. You've got to look at the law. You've got to be able ready to respond at a moment's notice if a prosecutor raises an objection. So that's one thing definitely I think I can take from sports. And the list is long. Obviously, it was a great benefit to me having the clerk for Judge Pullen and Judge Smith, just brand new coming into the legal field. And really, I can't emphasize when I talk to young lawyers getting ready to come out of law school, I always tell them, yes, if you can get one of those six-figure jobs, coming out of law school, that's great. But if you ever had an opportunity to clerk for a judge, I can't, tell you how beneficial that was. Not only working under two seasoned judges, two seasoned prosecutors, seasoned lawyers, but being able to get to know the clerks, other lawyers, court personnel, get to know defense attorneys, prosecutors, and to really use that year not only to work for the judge, but also get your feel of the lay of the land as far as what firm you may want to make application to, or whether or not you want to go in the DA's office or the public defender's office.
Do you want to be a judge?
Yes, someday I do.
So why not today?
Sometimes it's all about timing. I'm not ready right now to make that move for the judgeship this time, but I still want to be a public servant, and that's one of the reasons I ran.
So you ran?
Public service is still a big part of my life and my family's life, because my wife's a teacher, my father is a retired educator, my mother is still an educator. So public service is a big part of my immediate family, my life. I get asked that all the time, and I always tell people, why not? That's my usually that's my reaction. I believe I'm a fiscal conservative. I believe when you as a government, when you ask people to pay their taxes, you should be fiscally responsible for those tax dollars and spend that money wisely. I believe in pulling hard work. As I often said, God, family, country. That's the order that I believe in. Pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, not making excuses. And I believe that some of those core values is why I support the Republican Party. No, I don't. No, it didn't put me at odds. There were some that obviously support me in my legal career and what I do for the community, but were very frank and said, well, for as politics may not be able to support you, won't do anything to hurt you, but may not be able to come out and wave a sign for you. And anyone that's an opinion, and everyone has their right to support who they want to support, and I had to respect that and still respect that. Although it was still unfortunate, because when I look at the district where a lot of the people that are suffering look like me and look like those leaders, why wouldn't you support someone who's been a champion for the rights, as a prosecutor and defense attorney, for the rights of people? when you look at the unemployment rate in Meriwether County and Talbot County, most of the people that are unemployed look like me and look like those, Democratic leaders. So why wouldn't you support, some type of change? Sometimes when it warrants it. I give you an example when it kind of all started. It was a case. I was representing a gentleman who was a police officer who was charged with intimidating a witness. Then I made reference to the Kenny Walker situation. But when I made reference to the Kenny Walker case, it had nothing to do with race. What it had to do with was the fact that the officer in that case wasn't prosecuted and there was a death. When you had, in my case, you had an officer.
White officer or black officer?
Black officer who was a minority. And the only thing that he was accused of was like pointing a finger and waving it like this. And I was like, that's not equal. You're bearing down on, this officer who, in that case, whose brother was charged with murder and convicted. But there was allegation of pointing the finger while someone was, driving down, in the apartment complex. And I just thought that was, unfair, an unfair prosecution. So my reference to that to the jury was just simply, look at these two situations. We have a guy here who's been shot, and killed, wrongfully, pulled over, wasn't the right suspect. All these different bad things happened in this case. This guy didn't get prosecuted. But this guy's allegedly pointing the finger, and you charge him with two felonies. There's something about that's not fair.
So that's the first time you used.
Yes, when I was accused, kind of by the prosecutors, of using race, but they just misinterpreted the situation. It was just about the inequity of the two cases, and the jury, agreed with me and found my guy, not guilty. Yes, I already have.
And how old are they?
15 and 7.
What do you tell them?
That even though you might disagree with the officer's actions, and they may be dead wrong, and with no probable cause to pull you over, or no probable cause to arrest, and it may be a wrongful arrest, even in Georgia, you have a right to resist an unlawful arrest. Georgia gives you that right. But be mindful to follow the instructions and cooperate. Never give an officer a reason to feel that they have to defend themselves. And if they're wrong, we'll handle it later. And if they violated your rights, there's all sorts of legal avenues that we can pursue to handle that. But don't never put yourself in a situation to fear that the officer has to use lethal force to defend himself or herself. That's very important. Not only do I give that advice to my son, I give that advice to young people that I talk to.
White and black?
White and black. I would say sometimes there are certain clients that just because of the nature of the case, we develop a kind of more of a friendly mentor type relationship, and I may be able to just mentor them about, good job skills, or how to find a job, how to wear their clothes properly when you go for an interview, different things like that. Where I may see in a young man, well, look, if you complete, you're on first offender, if you complete your probation, I have friends that are military recruiters. Let's see if we can get you in the military, or let's see if we can get you a grant and go to Columbus Tech to start your, legal career. So you find those,
and try to
point them in the right direction. Because a lot of the young people, men and women that I come across, black or white, they're just misguided and don't have that person in their life to point them in the right direction. And I think as a lawyer, did they say, yeah, you're not supposed to be a babysitter or a counselor? But I think as a part of the legal practice, that not only is my job to try to get them out of this trouble, but also prevent them, if I can, to get into future trouble.
So you'll read on the riot act.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.